Then on another occasion, the mother narrates, and that's why how many times Durga came? Every year she used to come. Even during the time of Shivandu, she used to come. More often after that, but even during the time of Shivandu. She would always come, and I had my eye on her. Mother was as if kind of waiting for her for the arrival of Durga. Because in her presence, I could clearly sense that there wasn't that rapport with the Supreme. Earlier, there was no connection, no rapport of these gods with the Supreme. I could see that. She just didn't need it. Durga, who? Who bothers about Supreme? I am all powerful in every respect. I can do whatever I want to do. She just didn't need it. She didn't need anything. She was complete by herself. Because she did not want to progress. What she is happy with that. Complete. That there are other possibilities to grow, to expand, to progress, that she didn't recognize at all. Not necessary, I am all. And it wasn't that something acted on her consciously, deliberately to obtain that result. It has been a contagion. By some kind of a contact here that she understood the necessity of surrender. Contagion. I remember how she used to come, and my aspiration would be so intense, my inner attitude so concentrated, and one day there was such a sense of power, of immensity, of ineffable bliss in the contact with the Supreme. Mother's own aspiration, the intensity of that, the sense, as she says, my inner attitude so concentrated. One day there was such a sense of power, of immensity, of bliss with the contact with the Supreme. It was a day when Durga was there and she seemed to be taken and absorbed in it. That is the power of mother's concentration intensity. She was kind of drawn into it, Durga. She got lost in that intensity. And through that bliss, she made her surrender. Most interesting. Now that is the kind of a concentration the mother had, that power she had. She is not asking Durga to go and surrender to the Supreme. She is not pleading nothing. But the aspiration is so strong, so intense, the whole atmosphere is so charged with that feeling, with that bliss and all that. She suddenly felt something, Durga, and she offered herself to the Supreme. She made her surrender. That was on 30th June, see, day of tomorrow. Now, well, we have this Durga seated in our inner world, certainly seated in the inner world of Savitri. This is Book of Yoga, Canto 4, 123.14 onward. When the second Madonna tells what she is to Savitri. And then she says, I am charged by God to do His mighty work. That is what she says. I am charged by God to do His mighty work. And who is she? She says, I am charged by God to do her mighty work. And then, when held in my coming the almighty force, when I am there, when Durga comes, Goddess comes, or praise with thankful tears His Savior grave. And what do? I smite the Titan who bestrides the world and slay the ogre in his dust and den. In fact, that is what Durga does. That is what Durga does every year. I smite the Titan year after year. I don't know this year whom she is going to kill. See, in India, she must go, come here quickly. She need not wait till October. She should come earlier and kill the asura of corruption. That is the first thing she should do, you see. Men hail in my coming the Almighty's fold, or praise with thankful tears his Saviour grave. I smite the Titan. Now, of course, Titan, that belongs to the Greek mythology. You have first the giants, then the Titans, and then the Olympians. Olympians. Yeah. Right. So actually, the Titans were defeated by the Olympians. They were driven out from the world. And one of the examples is of Enceladus. Enceladus, Athene. She defeated him and pushed him down under Mount Etna, the volcano. So the Etna is burning there above him, and he is there buried under the mount. And from that mount, one day, Enceladus has to rise. When will he come? When the Supreme God decides that to happen. He will be. He has to rise. Enceladus has to rise from the Mount Etna, you see. I smite the Titan. So this is what she did, Athene. She drove him out and pushed him under the volcano, you see. In fact, there are very beautiful pictures of this thing, depiction also, of in the Greek art, you see. And slay the ogre. Ogre is an inferior being than the Titan. See, we have got three types, Pishacha, Rakshasa and Asura. Pishacha, Rakshasa and Asura. The lower, ugly, vital, that is the Pishacha. Rakshasa is a tremendous vital force, beings of vital world, pure vital load, and then Asura, vital mental. So the Titans belong to the vital mental. Vital mental. And then she says that Durga, who is seated in the soul of Savitri, she is telling her to Savitri, I am Durga, goddess the proud and strong, and Lakshmi, queen of the fair and fortunate. I wear the face of Kali when I kill. I trample the corpses of the demon hordes. That is what she does year after year. I am charged by God to do His mighty work. Uncaring, I serve His will who sent me forth. Reckless of peril and earthly consequence. I don't care at all. So that is what Durga is. I am charged by God to do His mighty work. Now, Shivandu had written the hymn to Durga in Bengali during his freedom fighting days, before 1908, hymn to Durga, when he was in Calcutta. And I had taken some selections from that. Mother Durga, from age to age, in life after life, we come down into the human body. That is what we do. Come down into the human body. Do thy work and return to the home of delight. Now too we are born, dedicated to thy work. Listen, O Mother, descend upon earth. Come to our help. Mother Durga, rider on the lion, trident in hand, thy body of beauty, armor clad. Mother, giver of victory. Mother, giver of victory. That is what Savitri is praying to Durga early morning that day, you see. Giver of victory. Mother Durga, giver of force and love and knowledge. On that particular day, Savitri is not going to ask for love and knowledge. Savitri is going to ask for force. You see. So what prayer she made to Durga, only she and Savitri knew. But she was asking for force. Giver of force. When Savitri was praying, the poet says what prayer she has made to Durga, only she and Durga knew. But it is indicated that she is the giver of force, and naturally Savitri is going to ask for force on that day. Terrible art thou in thy own self of might, Mother, beautiful and fierce. In the battle of life, in India's battle, where warriors commissioned by thee, Mother, give to her heart and mind a Titan's strength. Yes, I want the strength of the Asura, defeatless strength of the Asura. Titan's energy to our soul and intelligence, a God's character and knowledge. So he is really asking, she is asking for this Titan's strength, the strength of the Asura. And then on another occasion, Mother says, she stayed here while I was washing. In the room, the mother is doing all the household things, you see, and she says, she stayed here. She stayed for a couple of days, you see, sometime, while I was washing. And she told me, see, you can do all this, and not for a minute, not for a second, do you lose contact with that. The contact with the Supreme. You are doing all the small little household things. That is what Savitri was doing, all the kitchen work, household work, but she never lost contact with that. She never lost contact with that. With the supreme wonder, Adbhuta, that is what she is. And we who are full of power, without any of your petty miseries, any of your petty difficulties, we are so used to our way of being that we don't see the value of it. It is Durga who is telling her, we don't see the value of it. It's something obvious, almost inevitable. And she said, the mother smiles, we never think of the divine. We never think of the divine. We don't have to, we don't have any need to think of the divine. We never think of the divine. So there is in that will to progress. You don't think of the divine means that you don't want to make any progress. You got stuck with what you are all the while. You are stuck with that. That thirst for ever better, ever more, we totally lack. This is what Durga is confessing to the mother, you see. But now she has made a surrender. She saw the whole thing and she made a surrender. And what a beautiful surrender she has made. In fact, we should see that the four powers that of course we know now, there are the celebrated and splendid embodiments of the Divine Mother. The four powers. Her powers and her dynamic personalities carrying out the cosmic work. The four powers of hers are wisdom, strength, harmony. Wisdom, strength, harmony, perfection. Or Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati are of such a type it is already functioning in the vast scheme of cosmic things. These four powers, wisdom, strength, harmony, perfection. Wisdom, strength, harmony, perfection. These are the Chatur Varnas of the Vedic description. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. We call them by these names in the common language. But they are actually the divine powers working in us. They are actually divine powers working in us. I mean, now in the tradition, the knowledge, the power got lost, and it has become a very dirty affair here. Brahmin, Kshatriya. Otherwise, they got, these are the qualities of the soul. And where do they not exist? In which world a Brahmin does not exist? It's not only in India. He is there everywhere. A man of wisdom, Plato, he was a Brahmin. Einstein, he was a Brahmin. That's the quality of man, you see. Kshatriya, where does it not exist? Eisenhower, he was a Brahmin. He was a Kshatriya, not only Arjuna, you see. On the battlefield, he's fighting the war. Churchill, he was a Kshatriya. Where is it that they don't exist? They are there everywhere. Because it is the human quality which is important, all pervasive. But Henry Ford, Warren Buffett, they are the Vaishyas. The commercial age today, what you call it. They are the Vaishyas. They are dominating Walmart. They are the Kshatriya. They are the Vaishyas, you see. That is the quality. Where is it that they don't exist? It's not only in India, I see that. They are there universally, everywhere. In every society, in every place they are there. Shudra, an engineer, an artist, a skilled laborer. Henry Ford. He is in a way, a Shudra. The skill of work. Microsoft, Bill Gates, yeah, Apple, they are Shudras in that sense. The skill, the perfection, the harmony which is required for work, it is that which they have acquired. These are universal qualities. You can't stop them. They are there everywhere, in every age. They are there in every age, you see, everywhere. So wisdom is there universally. It is human character, human nature. So this Chatur Varna, the division of society in 4 castes, is a universal principle. It is there everywhere. Strength, Kshatriya, harmony, that is Vaishya, perfection, that is Shudra. Perfection, skill in work, you see. But they do not pass to the portals, are of such a type, it is already functioning in the vast scheme of cosmic things. They are there everywhere, this people. But they do not pass to the portals of the birth, that is the death. That is important. See, Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, they are cosmic powers. But they do not take human birth and pass the portals to the birth, that is the death. They do not want to do that. They do not want to do that. It is only when they accept the human birth, the psychic being, when they pass the portals to the birth, that is the death, then only they can progress. In fact, it is in that sense we have here the absolute uniqueness of Savitri. The divine goddess, she would have been very happy there, but she has condescended to pass to the portals to the birth, that is the death. Mother has taken the human birth, accepted the human suffering, human death. Because it is only through that process that the work can go. They do not accept the lamentable limitations. You see, Maheshwari, Mahakali, no, I'm sorry. No, lamentable limitations. They do not climb up the Calvary of deep-rooted frustration. Do not bear the ignominy of human birth. They do not want that. Once the mother told Durga, the magic of surrender to the Lord is what we are seeing just now. And then only did Durga see the wonder what the. She said, "We don't need divine. What for?" Now she is seen. She uttered astonishment, its marvel and its power. Yet she was unwilling to take birth here, as was Shiva too. This is a much painful affair, and it is the greatness of the avatar that he accepts it. So that is the difference between God helping man and the avatar helping man, evolution. It is an act of His grace also for the evolving soul of the earth. Lakshmi, Saraswati, Gauri, Uma, Amba, Bhavani, Parvati, Kali, and in a way even the Madonnas who are present in the cosmic field are powers and personalities of the Divine Mother, but essentially typal in character. There are goddesses and goddesses, devis, matrikas. There are lesser vital embodiments also, embodiments who had drifted far away from her, from the divine source. There are alluring females too, like the famous Belle Dance of Mercy, and frightful woman in a bush with perilous beauty and charm. But let us take the mother of compassion, Karunamaya Mata, whom we meet in Savitri. She suffers, no doubt, but not the way does Savitri suffer. That is the greatness of Savitri's suffering. When she is now worshipping Durga, it is that which is coming out fully, full power. The incarnation, that is Savitri. In the house where all is made of flame and light, that is the soul of Savitri. Savitri's soul, that house where her soul is housed, is all made of flame and light. Suddenly meets her secret soul. Here, in the chamber of flame and light, the toiling spirit in a mortal shape, the human portion of divinity, and the oversoul, the central being stationed above, Savitri's oversoul up there, and the one who is seated in the flame and light, in the house of flame, they come and join together, they unite. The secret deity rush into each other with a magic transformation speed and become one. In a living original, the original power comes down into her heart. It is that which then the original power comes into the heart of Savitri. It is the descent to the original power that awakens the deep cosmic centers of activity in the subtle physical. And this happens through Savitri as the individual. So Savitri is now kind of a pretext for the divine power to come and work here in the terrestrial world. Out of the soulless, mindless night, a flaming serpent rises. All the energies wake up from here, stirred, and it rises from the inconscience upward. Savitri becomes the active center for the worldwide action. In fact, that is what we'll see later on. When Savitri is facing death, or rather death is facing Savitri, how all the energies spring up from her, it is what we have here. In her soul sits the living original power. That is what happened. In her, and armed and bearer of the weapon and sign. Weapon and sign. She is carrying this sign, the symbol, mother symbol. This could be the divine transcendental Durga. That is the real Durga. This that brings about a high celestial change in Savitri, who is here to do the divine work. So when Savitri is worshipping the stone goddess simply carved by Satyavan in the forest, it is that now which is waking up here. Savitri, the divine, this could be the divine transcendental Durga, not only to protect but also to destroy all that opposes the divine work. That brings about a high celestial change in Savitri. So when Savitri is worshipping early morning, a change, a mighty change takes place in her. That rush from above down below is for a cosmic universal action. Savitri has housed the divine power in her soul. This is what has happened on the fated day when she is going to meet Yama shortly in another 4 hours. Savitri has housed the divine soul. So when she is worshipping early morning, that goddess carved by Satyavan on a forest stone, what she has really done is she has housed the divine power in her soul.